The entire feasibility study report, which is 22 pages long. You may request a copy of that if you don't have online access. After today, you will be given instructions how you can go online and actually read the entire report. So if you're having trouble sleeping at any time during this week, just check in on that report and read through it, and I guarantee you will sleep better. The primary purpose of the study was to measure the congregation's response to the need for more space, as acknowledged by church leaders. Sunday services, of course, as you know, have been expanded to 3, with a number of children and youth activities meeting in a tent. The time has come to determine what next should be done. I'm going to read through my report for you if you didn't notice that, so that I can stay within the time frame of the service and to make sure each service is getting the same information. In order for study results to be considered viable, a participation goal of at least 50% of engaged households of the congregation was established. In this case, we determined that about 120 households are engaged with the church, and so we needed 60 to participate to make the study viable. I am pleased to report that 88 households participated, including 113 individuals. That equates to a 73% participation rate and makes the study very viable and useful for your leaders and your congregation going forward. A primary reason for needing more space is the amazing pattern of growth experienced by your church since occupying this space, your first permanent church home. This is borne out by the fact that 54% of those who participated have been part of the church for 2 years or less. That means that since you've been in this space, your church has about doubled in size. I hope you know that is not the norm for churches today in this country. Surely God's blessing is upon you. People feel that their needs are being met. That was one of the questions in the study. And most people consider themselves to be involved at some level. Very involved, somewhat involved, or whatever. But another fact, amazing fact, is 41% of those who participated would like to be made aware of how they can become even more involved. Again, that is not normal. What I learned is that your congregation, for the most part, has a real heart to serve the Lord and to serve one another. It's become part of the DNA of who you are as a congregation. All participants agreed that the need for space is an important issue. If not all areas of need can be addressed initially, children and youth should be taken care of first, followed by a larger worship space, then administrative space for the staff. People realize that a tent is not a sustainable solution for children's ministry, and also feel that the youth should have a space of their own. But right behind these two critical needs is a desire to reduce the number of services on Sundays. And reasons for that is to allow more time for fellowship, greeting, conversing with one another, meeting your friends, while not overtaxing staff and volunteers. There's also a sense among your congregation that your growth is not finished, as a strong desire to continue, even expand outreach is in the hearts of many of you. From these points of view, 96% support leaders developing a plan to address the need for space. None were against this. 88% support initiating a capital campaign to generate funding from the congregation. None were against. When I say none, some just said, well, I'm just neutral about that, or I don't know exactly what that means, so I'm just going to say I'm neutral for the moment. This generating fund method of capital campaign is the method that was employed when the congregation successfully moved from the school to this facility. Leaders envisioned staying with a plan that works. In order to measure the potential contributions to a capital campaign that would allow households to contribute over a 3-year period, participants were asked to estimate amounts that they may be willing to contribute over and above current giving. Each of these estimates fell within ranges that were offered on the study. Estimates were then calculated altogether and added up to be the lowest, mid-range, and highest potential amounts. This span went from a low estimate of $472,500 to a mid-range estimate of $639,000 to a high range of $805,500. Using several other factors, including potential giving from households not involved in the study, and my past experience of working on more than 350 different projects, I submitted a very conservative estimate that between $550,000 and $650,000 may be raised should a capital campaign be engaged. I'm very comfortable with that estimate and believe that there's a lot more upside potential than downside, and it may be used in planning the addition of space. I also emphasize the term conservative estimate because I have never had a client upset if we raised a lot more money than I estimated. And very seldom did that happen, in fact, less than 5 times that I can remember. People from the study also indicated that they would be happy to lend their assistance to whatever process may ensue. 94 said that they'd be willing to help with the capital campaign, and more than 50 people offered skills pertaining to the building project. By the next weekend, leadership will have all of the names of the people who actually volunteered in those ways in their hands. 56 different final thoughts were offered. Many reiterated support for simply moving forward. Some, however, expanded visionary ideas for how new space may be used for greater service to the congregation and to the nearby community, ministry ideas. There were also some questions, all of which will be listed and addressed along with the complete report when you have a look at that. By way of observations and conclusions, very briefly, participants are in agreement that new space is needed, and leaders should develop a plan to move forward. It is expected that any expansion will happen here on this property. People are willing to contribute financially and even offer sweat equity as they are able and may be needed. Children and youth are top priorities, and if at all possible, a larger worship space is also strongly desired. Based on the responses supplied by all of the study participants, I offer the following 8 recommendations. Number 1, study results should be shared with the congregations. That's what we're doing right now. Plus, you may access and read the full report online, or if you don't have online access, you may request a written printed copy. Number 2, leaders should move forward without delay in developing a plan to address needed space within a feasible project budget. Number 3, in the planning process, members with certain areas of expertise may be asked to lend their knowledge to the process. Number 4, regular progress updates should be given to the congregation even through the planning process. People are generally patient when they know that steady progress is being made. Number 5, a capital funds campaign should be initiated as soon as possible. Virtually all the steps moving forward will require cash for items such as site development, permits, design, approvals, and so forth. The sooner that cash flow is initiated, the smoother the process may proceed. And without cash being generated, the slower the process will go. Number 6, volunteers should be engaged whenever possible to lend their energy to the process. Number 7, offers of skilled labor and donations of materials and equipment should be assessed and figured into any plan where possible. Number 8, follow the same plan as last time in retaining professional guidance for the fundraising process in order to maximize results. Churches that say we can do this ourselves generally raise about 50% of what they can do with professional guidance. Finally, I want to express my thanks to the 113 people who made the effort to participate in the study, making its results viable and a success. I also want to thank Pastor Ken and church leaders for trusting me once again to serve this wonderful fellowship of believers. May God bless the next chapter of Wallenpack Church. According to the study, you are ready to move forward. God bless you.